Oh my gosh, guys. Of course, my dog is going to drink water as I come on. I'm so excited. I am so excited for day 2 of this activation series on getting hooked on the true story of your body. And today I'm going to talk about mindset and consciousness. I'll let you know the difference between the two and why you want to be aware of both. So first, though, I want to recap yesterday a little bit because actually today in my client sessions, these things came up. Sanders, are you almost done drinking? Maybe not. I hope it's not too terribly loud. I know he'll be done soon. So yesterday I talked about your intuition. And we all have intuition, and there are things in life that can disconnect us from our intuition, our inner knowing. And one of those things I discussed yesterday was all about your drive and ambition and achievement, and how when you get in that path or on that superhighway, sometimes there's no turning back. And that's when we don't leave enough time and space for our intuition to be aware of our intuition coming in and speaking to us and communicating with us, and how that impacts our body and our energy. So what really came up today that I wanted to share with you is that the medicine that I gave you for this experience yesterday, especially if you're a high achiever, is that you want to create space in your day or in your week, however it works for you, to play more. And it's funny because that's exactly what came up for one of my clients today. She did this exercise and she's like, oh, that's the part, like, she's like, I almost have a full circle, but then there's a big indent on play. So having more time and more space to play, so to speak, and playing can look different every day or every week. It's just having space to not be so structured. It is so very important because that's when we have the time to actually connect with ourselves. The other thing that came up is identity. So we connect our identity to certain things, especially achievements. And we can connect our identity also to circumstances or situations that happened in our life. I gave you the example of yesterday. I was in a car accident when I was 19 and I was hit by a drunk driver. I carried the identity with me for a very long time of being a fighter. And I kind of built myself that way and built my life that way. And that didn't work long term. It worked for a while, but not long term. So that's the same thing that happens with identities in our world, that sometimes we carry one around too long. It's like that hat that you love wearing and you just don't take it off. And it becomes really smelly and sweaty and gross. And people are like, will you please take that off? It doesn't fit anymore. It doesn't look good anymore. It's the same type of thing. We become attached to these identities because they are actually patterns that run in our bodies. And one of the first ways to dissolve a pattern is to become aware of it. So there is hope for all of us. I'm kind of, I'm joking because I'm laughing. Anyways, the way to dissolve is awareness. Hello, Kelly. Hello, Bruce. Good to see you all. And there are patterns within our bodies as well that are conscious, that we're very aware of, and there are patterns that are unconscious. And I'll touch into those in a minute. So with mindset, so that you're very clear on what I mean by that, it is your thoughts, beliefs, and attitudes. So your mindset is basically a thought you think over and over again. on a consistent basis. We have strongly held beliefs, and then we can have some wishy-washy beliefs. And we can have conscious beliefs and we can have unconscious beliefs. And we see all of this play out in our reality. Okay? So your mindset, again, your thoughts, your beliefs, your attitudes, everything you experience is connected to a belief that you have, whether you know you chose it or not. To give you a concrete example of that, a belief that I held for a long time is that I had to fight my way through. And that was a result of being in an accident. So it was thrust upon me, but then I took it and made it my truth. I made it my identity. It started playing out or manifesting in my experience. And like I shared yesterday, that doesn't work really well in relationships. Or intimate relationships, any relationship really, but especially intimate relationships. And so when you think about consciousness, that is your energetic field. So we have our inner body, which is the part of our belief system that is projecting out into reality. Then we have our outer body, that is our energetic space. Now, part of consciousness is our own consciousness that we hold about things. And we have what's called a collective consciousness. So you can turn on the news to see what that looks like. You can see what that looks like in groups that you're part of, communities you're part of. It's a collective consciousness. And so that's why it's terribly important to be aware of what you're paying attention to, because it is affecting your consciousness and your energetic field. And all of this is what is creating your reality, which is why it's so important. Anytime we have depleted energy, so we know what that feels like in our body, like we're burnt out, we're exhausted, sometimes that's sickness, that really can disconnect us. It doesn't always have to, the more that you practice, but it is a pretty quick killer of being able to connect with your intuition, because you just don't have the reserves there. And in being connected to your intuition, you can make better decisions, better choices that lift that energy up or lift you up when you're feeling down. So there's nothing wrong with getting to the point of exhaustion, except if you're doing that all the time. That's when it becomes a huge problem. That's what leads to burnout, adrenal fatigue, so on and so forth. So your energy field is what is creating your experience, your reality, okay? Your inner body, like I said, we have an inner body and outer body that's part of this energy. When you want to shift something in your reality, one of the easiest ways, so I said awareness first, can dissolve old patterns that aren't working for you. But then next to that is presence. So really coming to a place of presence, not looking at the past, not looking at the future, but okay, present moment, what can I do right now to pull my energy to a place that it's not scattered. So a lot of times our energy becomes scattered when we're looking in so many directions at once. We're trying to do it all at once. We're trying to be it all at once. And then you're not really doing anything well. And we've all learned that in our culture that we're supposed to be doing all this stuff. And really that's not how we're designed to live and work, even though it is part of what we've been conditioned to do. So we want to decondition this part of our energy and condition it with a way that's truly going to work for us. And all of that is practice and repetition. It's like working out. The more reps you do, the better you get at it. And I'm waiting to see what comes through. And support comes in through your consciousness. So if you're in a situation in which you're unsure of what is the next right move, maybe you become present and you're not sure what to do, when you come to that present moment, the support, is your intuition, inner voice, inner guidance, inner wisdom can then speak to you more clearly. You can hear it more clearly, okay? So support comes in through your consciousness. That's very important. Write that down if you're taking notes. Support comes in through your consciousness. And many times, the way that we can expand our energetic field, I was talking a lot yesterday about opening up the heart. So our thoughts are electric, our heart is magnetic. So really using both of them together is your secret sauce to efficiency, to success, to manifesting more quickly. Because if you're trying to do it all from the mind, you're going to get hit along the way, or you're going to have more hiccups along the way than if you can work the two together. And many times what can get in the way for an ambitious person is I have to figure it out. I have to figure it out. I have to figure it out. I've heard it time and time again. It's this need, and I've experienced it myself. It's this need to want to figure something out. And really, you don't have to figure it out, or you don't have to try so hard to figure it out. You can figure it out by connecting to the present moment and allowing the answer, the guidance to come in through your consciousness. So your consciousness, you can even think of it as like opening up, it's above your head. So opening up to what can come through you. We are truly energetic vessels for everything that's going on around us. We are truly, and that's why, again, you want to be careful where you are putting your attention, where you're putting your time, how you're starting out your day, how you're ending your day. So our capacity or energetic endurance is so very important. If this work is really speaking to you, you want to really look at regulating your input and output. Even if the way that I'm speaking this work isn't making sense to you, regulating your input and output for everyone is so very important. And you can feel that in your physiology, in your body. If you're a nervous person all the time, then it's an opportunity to slow down. It's an opportunity to come in more to your center so that then you can expand outwards. We all go through experiences and seasons in life where our expansion is really easy, that, output is really easy. And then we go through seasons where it feels like we need to be in more. And then finding that alignment, that sustainability when things are pretty good, and really building that week to week so that your fluctuations between the output and input aren't so draining, or aren't like high highs and low lows. So your energy is really your number one priority, which is why I always share with my clients that how you start your day and how you end your day, those bookends are very important, just so that you really know you have a check-in point with yourself. You can even do this throughout your day, because you are sending signals out. So if you think about when I say your thoughts are electric, when you're sending signals out just from your thoughts, and you're not really open through your heart, then likely what you're going to see, especially if it's coming from a place of, scarcity, lack, fear, you're going to see that all right in front of you. And so that's the opportunity to go inwards and try to open up that heart, connect the mind and the heart, expand that energetic field around you so that you can shift your reality. It can be that quick. I promise you. I've seen it. I've done it. It can be that quick. The way to shift that energy, yesterday I was talking a lot about that warrior spirit. And with that warrior spirit, today when I was talking to a client, it was like part of that was the fighter. And that's what was being led. Like I led with that, she was leading with that. And then the warrior is like coming more in alignment and integrating that part of self so that there's more ease and flow with whatever it is you're trying to do. For in her case, it was sport. And so instead of fighting for what the win, so to speak, fighting for the win and then crashing after, it's when we integrate that warrior spirit and come more to the present and approach it with more intention and actually integrate some of the fear that was coming up for her in particular, then she's going to have a completely new experience because her inner state has shifted. Okay, so that fight isn't going to need to be there. Well, with your mindset, your consciousness, your energy, what I thought around that is really tapping into the goddess part of our spirit. So like I shared yesterday, I saw these 3 images of bodies, which I considered more for women of being like the empress, the goddess, the warrior. With men, that would be the emperor, the god, and the warrior. So women and men can both be the warrior. There's not a gender specific name for that. But with the goddess spirit, you have to think, so somebody who's always in go and always in fight, there's no room to be worshipped. And I'm saying you can worship yourself. You don't need somebody else to do it. But hey, it's great when you have somebody else who can do that with you, but you have to nurture that first. It's the saying that goes in relationships, like you have to give it to yourself first to actually receive it. True here too. But being able to be worshiped, being able to be adored, being anointed, that is part of the energy that you actually want to pull into the body during that playtime. The medicine that I shared yesterday, and you can do that through dance, you can do that through singing, you can do that through being in nature, you can do that in so many ways, but you really want to be devoted to the practice of worshiping yourself. Another thing you could even do is having a corner of worship in your house. You can put whatever you want there, things that make you feel really good, things that feel feminine to you, that can be something that helps you tap into that love of self, that devotion of self, that devotion of what, if it's a devotion to, I really think about going in, but even if it's devotion to family, an outward expression of that, if it's devotion to your community, your tribe. And what I really see in that as well When we have devotion, we also have pleasure. So the things that make you feel pleasure, that can be as easy as, sitting in the sunshine, having the breeze hit your face. Of course, we know that pleasure is also connected to sex, pleasuring yourself, allowing someone else to pleasure you. But that's the spirit of, for the high achiever, ambitious woman who needs to drop into the feminine more, versus always playing on the masculine. Those are ways she can come in and bring that energy. It's like pulling it inwards to fill you up, especially when you're being depleted or feeling depleted. That can shift that experience for you. Let me see if anything else wants to come through about energy. I want you to know that you, right now, no matter what your situation may be, no matter how your energy may be feeling at the moment, that you have the ability to energize the timeline you see yourself stepping into versus energizing the reality in front of you. So we all come up against challenges in which it's really hard that if we keep focusing on what is present for us. So I talked about presence, and now I'm saying, like, be present to pull your energy in when it's all out and scattered. But then if your situation is challenging, you can play with reality. This is basically what I'm talking about. So play with reality in the sense of how you want it to be, and energize that. Energize that timeline, energize that self, so that it can be pulled in for you as well. So it can come to you, so you can meet it and not continually create the challenge or the situation in which you're in. Always be aware of, as much as you can. Now, we do human things and get distracted, but be aware of the container in which you're creating, because you are creating your reality. Your energy is part of that. Your mindset is part of that. But even bigger, we can't talk about mindset. For a long time, we have talked about mindset without considering consciousness. And we have to consider our consciousness now, because our consciousness is part of our energetic field. And we can't ignore that anymore. I spoke a little bit yesterday to when we're feeling density in our body, we're feeling heavy or sluggish, and that's part of our energy field. There's something in our energy field that we may need to release, that we may need to let go, because it is causing us to feel that way. Or it can be that you're depriving yourself of something, or not paying attention to something, or maybe you're hypnotized by something. So being aware of your frequency, your vibration, all of that's your energy, that is the way to shifting your experience. Your outer reality is always a reflection of your inner being. Okay? I know that I can't think back to what I thought when I first heard that, because I can't remember when I first heard that, but it's meant to be empowering versus disempowering. I actually think it's very disempowering not to know that, because you can hit up against the same pattern over and over again, especially if it's an unconscious pattern. So one thing I meant to share is that with the mindset, the thoughts, the beliefs, the attitudes that you have, we have our conscious mindset, our conscious thoughts, and we have our subconscious thoughts. and 95% of our behavior, so how we're doing life, how we're doing things, is directed from our subconscious. So we can shift that in ways too. So again, the awareness to dissolve old patterns, declare that you want that particular fear. I call it a distortion. That's what mentors of mine have called it. The distortion from your field be released. I shared yesterday that when fear comes up, it's actually there to be released. It's there for you to walk through it versus around it, because anytime we ignore something and we don't, hold it, give it love, pay attention to it so that it can go, then it's just going to keep coming back. It's just going to keep coming back. So if you ever, this is why this work is so important. I, started out teaching people about, even though my background was in public health and behavior change, and before that health and fitness, but I always knew in working with clients that, to truly change your nutrition, to truly change your love or not love of being active, you have to look at what's underneath. And what's underneath are those conscious and subconscious thoughts, attitudes, and beliefs. And if you don't address those, you're gonna keep circling the drain over and over. So if you ever wonder, why have I tried to make these changes and they're not working? You have to look at your mindset. You have to look at your consciousness. You have to look at who you're around, what collective consciousness you're part of, what media you're paying attention to, and all of those things. And then also looking at your capacity. Do you have too much output? That's often the case when I start working with people. They have too much output and not enough on the side of input. And that really kills your energetic endurance. And this is especially important for entrepreneurs. This is especially important for if you're somebody in a high level position. I mean, it's really important for everyone, but especially for people who are, trying to lead others. You can't hold space and hold a role of leadership if your energetic capacity or your energetic endurance is low, because you can't, it's almost like if you picture your outer body and it's really big and expansive, then you have great energetic endurance. If you're feeling limited and small and fearful, then your energetic endurance is a lot smaller. So then it's harder to call in. It's harder to get your job done. So that's what I want to leave you with today. Your outer reflection or your outer reality is a reflection of your inner state of being. So it always starts with going in. It always starts with going in. And sometimes we can feel really uncomfortable with that because it gets us into uncomfortable feelings in our body. But that is where the opportunity is. That is where the opportunity is to take action. That is where the opportunity is to move out of and change the reality in which you're now experiencing. So I want to speak as well to energizing the timeline that you see yourself stepping into. So that's like stepping into, it's like you're becoming. When you think of, an avatar or a persona, it's almost taking on a role. So you're letting one role release, or you're letting certain things release from your energetic field, and then there's new things you want to bring in. And so to bring anything in, you have to release the old. And that can feel really agitating. But when you can do it with the image of a persona or an avatar, like I mentioned, the goddess. You can make it a little more fun. You can make it a little more energizing. And that's also an opportunity to play, since I gave the medicine of play yesterday. So the medicine today is really about presence. It's awareness and presence. So coming center versus always trying to be out. To increase that energetic endurance, to increase that capacity, you have to come in first. Okay? Thank you so much for being here tonight, for absorbing this information, for listening. If you have any questions, you can drop them below. I'm so happy to answer them. If this message resonates with you and you want to know a little more about this work, then you can always send me a DM. I'm happy to have a conversation with you. All right? Have a beautiful night, and I will be back tomorrow for the third day in the series, and I will be back at 4 p.m. All right? And I will announce what that topic is. We're going to talk about the Empress and inner authority. All right? I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.